Hello, everybody, and welcome to the July 16th, 2018 edition of the Ephrom Josine Show. I am your host, Ephrom Josine. Now, before we begin, well, this is actually where we begin. I went over to Twitter where I found a woman who was verified, mind you, named Ashel Rigpapa, who's a former FBI agent, lawyer, and works for CNN. She said this recently against Bernie Sanders. Huh. Or I could look. Okay, it's a quote tweet, so I'll read you that first. Well, it's a little conversation, because of course it is. It starts off talking about Rand Paul defending Donald Trump going and visiting Putin, in which Asha says, remember that Rand Paul was one of the only two senators who voted against the Russian sanction bill, along with @Senator Sanders. Yeah, because stricter sanctions on Russia makes it more likely we'll go to war with them. War is bad, Asha. Jonathan Mann said, you might want to revisit Bernie's reasoning for opposing this particular sanction bill, or you could just read the bonkers replies that this tweet invites, which suggests that Bernie, too, is under the sway of the Kremlin. Or that, again, strengthening sanctions, which on a side note is the biggest form of protectionism I've ever seen. And protectionism, if you don't know, is essentially one of the most anti-free market ideologies you've ever seen. So Bernie Sanders, who's normally viewed as a socialist, was being more capitalist than the rest of the Senate by voting against those. And here's what Asha had to say. Huh, or I could look at Bernie Sanders' Twitter feed in the last 12 hours, which has 4 milquetoast critiques of Trump's comments today, versus 52 against Amazon, Walmart, and McDonald's. No retweets of anyone else's condemnations. Clearly, he's pretty upset about what went down. I like Norm Respect's response to this. Pretty fucked up of Bernie to focus on companies that affect millions of people's daily lives. But again, what does a CNN analyst have to care about that? I mean, after all, she's making money. Who cares the rest of the world has to deal with corporations? She works for a corporation, for God's sake. I would like to point out that that fly that was in the room in episode 49 is still in this room. Yes, it's been like a week. I haven't bothered to kill it yet. Partly because it keeps flying all over the place, and it's actually irritating me now. I don't know if it's actually in the shot. I'm gonna... Come here, fly! Come here! Come here, fly! Better make sure Coles isn't... Okay. Come here, fly! Come here! Yeah, if it's annoying me, you're gonna see it. I don't know, probably pass by the lens at some point. Anyway, so, I was on Roaming Millennials Twitter account, don't really ask why, when I found this poll. I'm curious where people stand on abortion, and I feel like the pro-life/pro-choice labels are too broad. I wish I could put more options, but Twitter only allows 4 with character limits. In your opinion, abortion should be legal until, then it shows 4 options. 55% picked only in med/emergencies. 25% said 6 to 8 weeks. 15 said 13 weeks. 5 said 22 weeks. I'd say I'm roughly about 22 weeks. However, I read some of the replies, and most of them weren't very good. To be fair, most of them answered reasonably, just giving direct answers and not being overly emotional about it. Some people, on the other hand, life begins at conception, citation needed for that, and really, at that point, you are the living equivalent of bacteria. And we kill bacteria regularly, and actually encourage it. What do you think washing your hands is? And every other point is completely arbitrary. and lends itself entirely to the subjective. I agree with someone else in the feed. Trying to save life should be the objective and never the ending of life. Again, you're implying life starts really earlier than it does. This is a guy I found interesting. Never! No abortion, even if the mother is raped. I know people will call me pro-forced birth. I wonder why. Or some crap, but the baby is not responsible for the father's crimes. In case you're wondering, this man has not one, not two, but 3 Bible verses in his profile pic, in his Twitter bio. You know, that book that says that we are all responsible for the crimes of some woman eating an apple because she was tricked into eating it by a talking snake, which God created and saw, but still went through with his plan anyway because he just likes watching people screw around, you know? It's like reality TV for him. Here's one. It's really just an appeal to the future, honestly. In 100 years, people will look back at abortion as an abomination to science, reason, and morality. No, they won't. I don't think they will. And considering how neither of us will really live until 2118, specifically, this was posted on July 12th, but, you know, we'll split the difference. I'll make you a deal. This was sent by Jonathan Jett. We will meet each other again on July 14th, 2118. And we will see which one of us is right. Anyway, this has been a shorter episode, I understand, but there really wasn't much news today, so sorry about that. I'm Ephrom, and good night.